Hey there, this is James from Isotropic, and in this video we're going to be reviewing CodeWP. And CodeWP is an AI-powered WordPress code generator that can quickly and accurately generate code for WordPress plugins, custom post types, taxonomies, ACF, and among other things. Pretty cool. So, in this review we're going to take a look at the pricing, the features, the actual usage, installation of these snippets, as well as the different extensions, the Chrome extension, Firefox, and VS Code. Of this platform. So this platform is actually created by us at Isotropic, the developers and myself, all working together to bring CodeWP to the market. It's been live for, I want to say, around 4 months now, so it's mature and no longer an MVP. It's really ready for prime time. I've pushed through thousands of generations. We have almost 10,000 active users. We also have well over 100,000 snippet generations at this point. It's a really popular platform, and it's popular for good reason. There's a free plan, and it also really impacts people's workflows for the better. It makes you more efficient. It allows you to leverage AI in a safe way because we've trained it for WordPress. It's just a very powerful platform, purpose-built from community feedback and from our own needs as WordPress developers to offer the best product possible for our industry. The general idea here is that you use this, you give it a prompt, and it will give you code specific to WordPress. It's all trained on WordPress codebase as well as other plugin codebases and documentation. So it will give you hyper accurate and relevant code generations using it. So the core idea here is that you prompt it for anything WordPress. So you can say, I want to create WordPress queries. I want to hook into WooCommerce functions, maybe create a workflow from an ACF value. You give it that English prompt or the prompt in your own native language because it supports around 11 official languages with DeepL translation on the Pro plans. You give it the prompt, it gives you code back. What that means is that you don't need to be doing Google searches, trial and error, Stack Overflow. All you have to do is prompt it, create the generation, test the generation. Most of the times it'll work. You're good to go. There's also unlimited generations on the Pro plans. So there's a pretty robust snippet management feature here where you can save, export, organize, and share all of the generations that you've created. The AI is trained specifically for WordPress. There are also plugin-specific modes, which we'll take a look at in a second. There are public snippets that you can also use to kind of get a good understanding of what a good prompt is and what that prompt can actually create. So I'm going to say WooCommerce PHP snippet shipment tracking snippet. Here you can see this is the original prompt, and here's all of the code that kind of creates the shipping tracking snippet. And this actually will replace the paid WooCommerce code snippet created from this prompt on CodeWP. Pretty cool. So those are the core features here. Now I'm going to take a look at the pricing, and then from the pricing we'll jump into the back end of the platform. So pricing, you either have free or pro. Agencies coming soon. The free plan, you get 10 snippets a month. It's really good because if you are a general kind of WordPress creator or a freelancer or a small agency and you find yourself in a bind a couple times a month, you can use the platform to try to get out of it. So say you have a really complex situation and Stack Overflow isn't cutting it, you can ask this to kind of create a snippet for you, and in most situations it'll give you what you need. So 10 generations a month. If you go for the Pro plan, pay annually, it's $8 a month. You'll get unlimited generations a month plus edit and explain features, which I'll show you when taking a look at the actual platform itself. Some FAQs, and that's really the core features and pricing of the platform. So I think that's enough of me talking. Let's actually take a look at the generation process and also installing and testing and kind of just playing around with what can really be done on a platform that uses AI trained specifically for WordPress, how we can create it and what the workflow is. All right, I'm in the back end of the platform, and this is essentially what everybody sees once they register. I'm on the Pro plan right now, so I have unlimited generations and I can access all of the modes. The free plan can only really use the WordPress PHP mode as well as some of the modes that are in public beta testing. So this Dynamics tag mode is testing. I believe the Breakdance conditions mode is testing. So you can access those too if you just want to play around and sign up for free. Here you can kind of access pretty much everything the platform has to offer. get a whole bunch of help, download some of the extensions, so Firefox, VS Code, and Chrome. Chrome is in a public beta, but it's not the most stable, so I'll show you how it works on this demo. I am on Chrome, but I would recommend waiting for version 2.0, which is a lot cooler and in the works. This platform also has a whole bunch of news and kind of community features around generating code. There's a big WordPress group, a Discord, or a big Facebook group and a Discord. So social aspect to the generations as well. All right, without further ado, let's take a look at the actual generation process of snippets. So I'm going to just launch the generator in the standard WordPress mode to start, and we'll play around with some generations and get a feel for the platform, and then we can get a little more complex in our prompts, as well as take a look at the plugin specific modes, which I think really are where the value in the platform comes from. So you'll notice this is kind of the overall generator experience. You have your action bar at the bottom. At the top you have a couple different features up here, so I can search and inject a snippet in. If I'm on the Pro plan, then I can use the edit and explain features from previous generations. For all of my generations, I can save them. So if I really find a generation interesting and I know I'm going to use it a lot, I can save it, and then under my snippets management side of things, these are all my saved generations that I starred. These are all of my generations. These are public generations, and I can also kind of filter through. You can see that I've actually created a whole bunch of generations under this account, which is actually just the testing account. My personal account has maybe several thousand associated with it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. This will help train the generations to follow good behavior and not follow bad behavior, and this is specific to your own account. So if you're creating generations and you don't like it and it's not doing what you expect it to do, you'd rank it thumbs up, thumbs down. There's also the ability to export these. So as a JSON format, you can export it. It'll be imported into code snippets, advanced scripts, scripts organizer from that file, and I can actually show you that once I create the generation. You can also export it as a raw PHP file, or you can copy and paste PHP into Oxygen Builder. So if I click this, it'll copy to my clipboard a code block with the PHP inside of it, and then I can paste it into Oxygen. All right, let's actually create some generations. So I think probably the most basic creation is a custom post type with a taxonomy associated with it. And this is something that you would do in PHP normally, but it is quite annoying to do because you just have to find and replace and copy different labels, and there's a whole bunch to do with it. In this situation, I can kind of just give it the most basic prompt available. So make CPT called cars and two taxes called parts and brands. So I've chosen to make this a very bad prompt essentially. So I'm saying CPT instead of custom post types, two taxes instead of taxonomies, and we're going to see if it can handle that. And it should, because the platform is a very robust AI. The AI is trained on a whole bunch of different prompt pairings to generations, as well as complete code bases and code snippet examples and documentation. And it really has a good understanding of the WordPress ecosystem itself and the general WordPress AI mode, which is available to both the free users and the pro users. It's really robust. It can really handle pretty much everything that you throw at it. And as I am talking, I get my generation, and you can see this code, it would just be annoying to write by hand, but it's generated in probably under 10 seconds. I have my cars and I have my different taxonomies, so it looks like it understood exactly what I wanted. And I'm going to just test it out. This is the free code snippets plugin. The staging website or testing website I've generated with InstaWP. Really cool new product in WordPress. You can instantly spin up WordPress websites. And I'll just use Code Snippets, the free plugin, to test out my taxonomies and custom post type. So cars, you'll see that all of the labels are all populated right. It's just easy to use, and you can see that my taxonomies have been added properly. And this was all done with a very, very basic prompt that was also a very bad prompt and a very short prompt. If you really wanted to be nice to the AI, you could say, make a custom post type, call it cars, give me 2 taxonomies associated with cars called parts and brands. But it infers that from the natural language recognition that the AI has. So that's a general example of the workflow of the platform. Because this worked well, I might give it a thumbs up, and I might give it a save, and then I can also download it as a PHP file. So you'll see my PHP file or a JSON file. I can even copy and paste it. I don't have Oxygen Builder open or easily accessible, but I can just paste it in. And maybe, yeah, you'll see that I can paste it like so. So that is the core usage of the platform. But where the platform really begins to shine is when I'm using it for other different plugin modes or other edit and explain modes. So this isn't really going to be good to edit because it's very focused on, if I'm trying to edit something, it's going to focus on one aspect of the code. But let's see if the edit mode will handle our requirement of change cars to trucks. And this may or may not work, I don't know. Cars to trucks in the CPT labels. Even if it doesn't work, I think it'll give you a good overview of kind of the UI that's pretty fun and interesting to look at when it comes to editing code. And this is a good feature for when you create a generation and you're like, oh, this is perfect, but I just mistyped the custom post type field and I want to replace it. And you'll see it actually worked pretty well. It removed a whole bunch of things, so I don't know if that's great, but it changed cars to trucks and made it all work. So this is also the UI that shows me the before and after of the AI edit, and this is a mode available on the Pro plan. So I'm going to reload and get out of this. I'm now going to show you the different plugin specific modes that I think really is where this platform shines. So the most popular plugin specific mode is WooCommerce, and I'm going to make a conditional cart discount. So if product with ID of 5 is added to cart, I'm going to keep that typo there just to show you how robust it is. 40 plus times, add a 50% discount to that cart. And this already knows it wants to create PHP and it wants to create code for WooCommerce. So it knows I don't even have to say create WooCommerce code. It already knows that. And I'm going to keep this typo here. I'm going to say 40 plus times. And this will work. When it's calculating the cart totals, it's going to take a look and say, oh, if product ID is in the cart over 40 times, let's kind of create a discount. And we'll create that discount by setting the price for the cart. And maybe I don't want to do it that way. Maybe I want to do add it as a fee. Instead of just removing the price from that, I want to add it as a fee. Or maybe I also want to conditionally add, say, a coupon. We can kind of just play around with the prompts, and on the Pro plans, it's free to do, and you'll see that's pretty simple and easy. Coupon cart 50 or cart 50. We can just play around with the prompts and iterate on it to really get what we want. And you'll see that it really just responds very well to what we're trying to create. So this is the WooCommerce mode, and you'll see add the discount. That works. Now let's take a look at another mode. Let's say Elementor dynamic tags, and this is probably the most complex one that we have on the platform so far. I'll make it say tag to display random average user sets number of random numbers to apply to that average. Well, that doesn't make any sense, but we'll see if it can kind of figure out what I want. So basically what I want to display a number in Elementor using a dynamic tag, and I want the user to say, I want 9 random numbers to apply to the average of that random average to make it more random. And we'll see if it can kind of understand that. I think it'll just give you a good overview of how these plugin specific modes really impact the generations that are created. So here, this code generation looks all proper. You'll see that it's kind of giving us two files in one, and descriptions and instructions, and it's really formatted towards that specific plugin's mode. It understands that we're going to be using this tag, and we're going to be, or class, and we're going to be doing all of this. We're going to create it in this format. It really just understands everything to do with this specific generation. And I think it actually kind of got what I was trying to do. Random numbers count. I can choose between 1 and 100 random numbers, and for each of those random numbers count, I'll add a new random number to the array, sum it all up, divide it by the count, and that will give me the average. So that will kind of do what I wanted it to do. So that's kind of funny that it actually understood that. Also, one quick other feature, now that I'm looking at long codes, sometimes the code cuts off. If it is cut off, you can just resume the generation and kind of extend it out to do whatever you want it to do. So with the more complex WooCommerce snippets that we've been generating, sometimes it'll cut off at like line 150. We'll click extend, and we'll add the 30 extra lines for it to work with the context of both the prompt and the existing code already kind of baked into that generation. So that's a good example of what the different modes are. And I'll also show you what the explain does here. So this will take a look at the code and give you a really good understanding of what it does, and it will automatically give you a basic description, but this can also be extended and say, what does the register group do in file 1? And this will really go into detail about specifics to do with the code that you have generated. So if you're a little confused as to what this little function does, or if you're a little confused as to how something works, or if you want a code example based off your previous generation, you can use this chatbot, which is very similar to ChatGPT, except it's trained on WordPress and not on everything under the sun. And it will really give you a good understanding. Register a group of dynamic tags for the one entity. And this will create a group of the tags. Okay. And it gives me some code to understand. And then it would create a group of dynamic tags with the random average for Elementor. And it just like tells me what I want to know about this code. So if I'm creating code and I don't really understand it, this is a great way to jump around and really figure out how it works. All right, now let's take a look at the extensions that are offered with this plugin. So the first thing I want to do is do a quick little demo of the VS Code extension. If you use Visual Studio Code as your IDE, you can install the CodeWP extension, click into it, and this kind of brings the basic WordPress general mode to VS Code. If you're on the free plan, it'll give you the 10 generations. If you're on the unlimited plan, it's currently limited to WordPress general instead of all of the modes, but you'll have access to unlimited generations. And I'll just say, make a short code demo that says good, and then we'll say time, day, user. Okay, let's see. I want it to kind of say good evening, James, but we'll see if the AI understands it. And this is basically talking to the same AI on the back end, generating. It puts the generation in your snippets account. It says it was created in the VS Code plugin, and it injects it directly into where your cursor is in VS Code. So it just brings in that one prompt to one snippet kind of focus on the generation. And you'll see that it wants me to add the attributes to say the username, but this looks right. If the time of the day is in the morning, I'll say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, proper grammar, pretty cool. And it just injects it directly into VS Code. So using this plus the PHP export, you can really get integrated into helper plugins if you choose to use that type of code management. And then you can also use the snippet plugins if you use kind of a front-end way to manage code. All right, now I want to show you a quick demo, and this is going to be the final aspect of the review, but a quick demo of the browser extensions, and both of them for Firefox and Chrome work the same way. These are version 1.0, version 2.0 are on the way, and they're going to be a lot more powerful, directly integrating into the actual code snippet plugins and the theme editor and the plugin editor. It's going to be very fun to play with, but for this demo, this is version 1. So say I want to quickly create some new shortcode. Instead of opening CodeWP, I can open DevTools with the extension installed, click into the CodeWP tab, and I'll get it right here, right next to my WordPress project. And I've already thought about what I want to generate. I want to just show you bringing in data from a third-party API. And in this case, it's going to be exchange rates. So the exchange rate between two currencies. This is what the response looks like for that. And I'm going to just go in and create this. I've already created this prompt. And I know that I also am going to want to add for 6 hours. So if somebody's requesting the same pair of currency conversions, it's going to, instead of making the request, it'll look into the cache, and that will expire every 6 hours. And I'm also just going to give it a tiny bit more context. So I'm going to copy the result here, paste it in, and then say context, and then say etc. And that'll give it, this means it'll really understand, oh, this is the API we're going to use, and this is what the API gives us. And hopefully it should give us pretty much everything we've asked for. So we want to make a shortcode that shows the exchange rate between two currencies, the base and the conversion, and then the user will add these two 3-digit codes as arguments. And you'll see this is a pretty beefy collection of code, and I made it like this explicitly. We can see that this all looks pretty accurate. We're going to use transients to save our data, and the transient name should be, the transient name will be the conversion to the base, or the base to the conversion currency. And just eyeballing this looks like it should work perfectly. So I'll do short code, and it's already set up to go from USD to EUR with the two arguments of base and conversion. So I'll just create a new post and use it and see what happens. So this is the exchange rate. Oh, I need to activate. Euro is not found. So let's see. Looks like we're going to have to do it in all caps. So that's one little mistake that I believe is the only issue with that code right there. There you go, USD to EUR, that's that conversion rate. Let's do something a little more complex. And I'm going to actually base and conversion. I'm going to jump into the actual post here and use the arguments that we've specified. So I want to do base equals US, or let's do JPY to conversion. So no USD involved at all. Let's take a look at how that works. There we go. There's that conversion. And now this is also going to be cached for the JPY to EUR specific conversion for 6 hours. And I did this just to show you how it can become very complex, but it'll really figure out how best to do this, and it will also really create like the error handling and responses specific to WordPress, because it's trained to do that. So this is a really good overview of, it will really understand your use case, and it will understand how to do it in the best, most efficient, most secure, best practice way, because it understands WordPress, and it also understands a whole bunch of other plugins. So even on this general mode, we don't have a Learn Dash feature, but let's just say show all courses for Learn Dash that a user is registered for. And there's already probably a short code. I'm going to keep that right there. There's probably already a short code for this, but this just shows you it understands the entire ecosystem here. So let's see. Maybe this function is already a function. Yeah, and I mean, that code looks pretty accurate to me, where it's looping through every one of the courses if they exist and just giving me a list of links to each of those courses for the user. So it's really just a powerful little platform. And this is actually just the function, so I want to make it a shortcode. And I'll just say shortcode. And there we go. And it's instead, now you can kind of see the previous one, we had to pass into the function the user ID. Now it's getting the user ID because it realizes because it's a shortcode, it's not going to be passed in. So really just a powerful little platform. I think that's really the end of the review here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. CodeWP is really a massive impact on my workflow. We built it because we needed it. And because we needed it, a lot of other people also needed it. And it's really just a collaboration between the community and us as Isotropic to create the best platform possible. So I hope you enjoy it. The free plan is free. It will always be free. It will always give you generations. And you'll always have access to these integrations regardless of your free or pro plan. If you want to support us, you can go ahead and purchase that pro plan. It's relatively cost effective if you think about $12 a month versus maybe 4 hours per month of time savings. What does that come out to be? Your time's a lot more valuable than that. So that's kind of how I look at everything. That's how we ended up pricing this platform as well. Gives us the capital that we need to invest back into our AI and training our modes and running the platform in the way we want to run it. So hopefully you enjoy. If you have any questions, reach out. Also check out the CodeWP YouTube channel where there are a lot more specific videos for CodeWP. And until the next time, I'll see you.